for Sasol as a energy and chemicals company, we cannot see sustainability separate to our strategy. So they are totally intertwined. And we've got three strategic themes: the people, planet, and profit. And we believe that all these three needs to be executed in a very balanced manner to ensure long-term sustainability. But speaking to barriers, I think the first one for me personally is definitions. I think strategy, I don't know how many books are written about strategy, but if I had to ask what is strategy, we would get a zillion definitions. So I think one of the first barriers is to make strategy simple. So if you make it very difficult, that's a first barrier, because only those few people that go to the strategy offsites then
with the red wine
understand after the red wine what they were talking about. So I think firstly, keep it simple uh, and make sure everybody understands. And then make sure that once you've defined your strategy, that you can translate it in a manner that you can measure it, keep track of it, and also link those measurements to your team and individuals' performance agreements, incentives, and all of these must encompass also the behavioral aspects. It's not just the hard numbers in terms of performance, but also your values. Because if you do things just to chase numbers, it's not going to be sustainable. So I think those are the main barriers to strategy execution. But for Sasol, lastly, we have to transform in this world of sustainability. We consume a lot of resources. We need to do it in a sustainable manner, not just to be fair to the planet, but also to the people. So as we transform, we need to make sure our impact on the society is also executed in a balanced manner.
And do you think that it's the fact that, you know, in this case, the sustainability of the business is essential here? That does it help you in terms of having less barriers in implementing the strategy? People perceive that there is a kind of a burning platform. I understand that, you know, reducing emissions is really absolutely essential for the business, and changing some of the technologies that you use. Do you think it's easier in terms of having buy-in inside the organization, or not necessarily?
No, definitely. I mean, getting buy-in to change and to transform is really key. But um, you shared earlier with us the enablers, and for us, technology, I would argue, is quite key. We can't transform without that key enablement. But on top of that is the enabler that brings resources to execute your strategy. If you don't have resources to do so, you might, and you would have read a lot about what the developed countries are contributing to encourage developing countries like us to decarbonize. So that would play a big role in terms of resourcing for the future. But I think, Nola, you referred to technology. I believe that is the fourth letter next to ESG is technology, and also data and measurement is also important. So yes, definitely the enablement part plays a key role.
And also, I have another question for you. Coming, you know, from very recently now, from really the business side and the operations side, do you think that there is a bit of a dilemma on the operations sometimes between trying to match they're already struggling day to day kind of targets and budgets, with the fact of having all of this, generally support functions asking for all of this. Do you, now sharing the experience of 7 months ago, do you believe that that's also a dilemma on the business side, and that?
Yes, no, it's a dilemma
Please stop recording now.
and a barrier. So I spent 25 years in operations and only now 7 months in corporate affairs. And I think the challenge for operations vis-a-vis the strategy is, the way I see it, strategy is the direction you're taking. Whereas in operations, it's once you've decided on the direction, it's the speed, the efficiency at which you execute. So one of the barriers in operations is how much time do you spend talking about strategy, because it can actually be a distraction.
Correct.
Because you want to execute, but you actually have to force yourself to pause at a regular basis to actually make sure you're still going in the right direction.